recording this as well, so any of you who aren't in the server can watch this back later. But on Gully Wash second, you know, everyone know that that ledge onto second point where you go up into river from point. Basically, what you can do off of there is instead of being forced, as since Scout can't make this jump even with double jump, instead of being forced to go all the way up top of point and then go up here, you can just use Winger for a quick jump like that. And that saves you a whole 8 seconds, especially during a firefight where if there's two soldiers pressuring up here, being able to get out of their line of sight and going right here, and then immediately into their face, it's extremely valuable, especially if you're protecting medic. But yeah, so I would always suggest using Winger just for advanced movement, especially for rollouts. Another good example on Gully Wash is Scout can actually get demo faster than he can do the rollout by doing that jump with the Winger. You can get into choke faster than any of the classes, including Demomens or Soldier, even if they're doing a fast rollout. Now that I've said that, and we don't have everyone in the server, I guess I'm just going to go over some Scout basics without actually you needing to see it. So two basic roles on Scout, obviously there's Flank and there's Pocket Scout. And Pocket Scout, unlike Soldier, does not necessarily mean that you're going to need to stay by your medic at all times. Like if you're playing Pocket Scout and your Soldier is with your medic, especially on rollout, when going on to mid, then you can most definitely take higher ground. Like again on Gully Wash, you can get onto point just as long as you stay a little bit farther back than your flank scout. Flank scouts are either going to want to do one of two things. They either want to try to find the flank route. What I do, because I play flank scout for the most part, is on mids, I will always go for the early demo pick because there's always a flank scout fast rollout to get there faster than demo. Unless you're going up against someone who has advanced level jumps, then you can usually get there faster than any basic rollout. So I would always go for an early demo pick and then wrap around second to get behind them. And especially call out to your team if you're ever behind them as flank scout, when do you want me to pincer? You know, always ask for confirmation that you can push. Because if you get caught out behind enemy lines, especially with a scout who doesn't, you know, good movement but one of the lowest health in the game, then you can't really do much. So number one thing for flank scouts is communication. If you get behind enemy lines, call it. I'm behind them. When do you want me to push? And then especially then your soldiers, they can push up a little bit more. They can cause, you know, the team to focus, try to get a little bit more aggressive to push them back. And that's when you can come in for a med pick, especially with the soldiers and scouts pushed up, trying to force your team out of mid. Or if your team won the mid, then you can hide on their second, wait for the retreat, and then take any important classes, medic, demo. You don't always need to go for the med pick, obviously. Demo's a great pick. Just any player advantage you can get. For flank scout, though, I would especially go for demo. Just because trading scout for scout, you just even it back up. If you're able to kill a scout, then you die since you're behind enemy lines. I would always go for a class who's more important than you. So, Pocket Soldier, Demo Man, Medic, all of those are technically higher damage classes and slightly more important than you as a flank scout. So those trades are always worth it. Then for Pocket Scout, as I was saying earlier, as long as you're just a little bit farther behind your flank, then especially with Scout's movement, you can always get back. So if you were to do, let's say if you were to both do this rollout, those of you in the server can see this, if you were to both do the fast rollout and get onto the demo, get early demo pick, and then back up, your scout, your flank scout, he could go behind them, he could continue to aggro up here. As long as flank scout is playing a little bit farther back, around the actual like point itself, then anytime your medic gets bombed, you can see that, and you can just fall back real quick, help deal with that. And that's the main role of a pocket scout. It's not stay right next to your medic, always get beamed along with your pocket. It's just being able to be in a position where you were able to aggress and use the power of Scout's movement to actually get into people's faces and get, good damage in, but also be in a position where, in case your med gets bombed and your pocket soldier's either not there or not able to deal with the target quickly enough, that you're able to fall back, within a second. And with Scout's movement, that's easily possible. And then another couple things I want to talk about is, other than rollouts and just the basics role, but also your role in the mind game, because there's a lot of strategies that Team Fortress teams used to use that I don't see much anymore that involve mind games. More so than just how much damage can we do on this point. Are we retreating? Are we pushing? Farther than just those basics. And then for that, having 2 scouts up, even if especially if one of you's behind, especially if the flank scout gets behind and he's an unknown, or if he's just causing a distraction. Like if the flank scout had succeeded in getting behind them on mid, and they see him, then that's especially good, because then they'll either send they'll send another scout or soldier behind to catch you, which means that you've removed a player from the mid fight, or they'll be watching for you where you're most likely to come out of. So if they see you go through their choke, if you kill Demo Man, they see you go through choke, they're going to be waiting for you at big door, meaning that either their roamer or their flank scout is now going to be playing closer to here, getting ready to deal with you, especially if you wait a couple seconds. So if you were to go through choke point at any point and get onto their second in any map, and you were to wait, let's say sit here for 5 seconds. Then in that time that they don't see you peeking back out, they're going to go, oh, he's rotating. I don't see him again. So he's obviously going somewhere else. Then able to peek back out. Now they've just rotated a player off of watching you and going to catch where they think you are. It's kind of like playing spy, just a little bit. And then with again with Pocket, while you can't do something like that where you can't force rotations, you are able to force players. So if you have let's say your Pocket soldier goes down, then you're going to want to play closer to med. Now they're going to send probably 2 players after you, because they know soldier's dead, the main damage class is down. We can push, easily kill the scout and the medic. You want to use your speed boost that you give the medic, kind of get, kind of start to use an escape route to allow him to move, to start to get as far away from that situation as possible. Especially if you were playing, again for the people in the server, if you were playing big door, Pocket goes down, you're here with medic. They're going to start to send players after you now because they want the med pick. If you would just allow the medic to get to here and then fight at big door, then your medic can get all the way through here and probably at least into lobby with his spawns before they're actually able to get on him, essentially allowing the medic to escape with full Uber, and now we're back to even when you come up. So while you can't force rotations, you can force players. And then if you have a flank scout, red team to blue spawn. And then, anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so then if you have a flank scout, and then especially in those situations, if they're sending multiple players after you, that's when you would call your flank scout, okay, now you pincer. Because then as soon as someone gets onto the med, or it gets onto the demo, then these players that are over here, they're going to want to rotate, because now medic's calling, someone's on me, rotate, I need help. Allowing your med, and possibly even you, to actually get out. So, flank scout, play kind of like a roamer. You get behind, try to get important picks, and then force rotations, force people to focus on you, just cause distractions. And Pocket, protecting med, still using your movement to get into the faces of enemy players, but mostly protecting your medic, and especially using the speed boost that you give the medic to help him get out of situations or back to the fight faster. Any questions on any of those topics? I'm guessing in the server, everyone that doesn't have coach role is muted. So just type in chat if anyone has any questions into Classroom A. Okay, I'm going to assume not then, since I don't see anyone typing. And then is there any specific maps anyone wants to know scout rollouts, scout strategies on? There is Villa I'm not as familiar on because I'm an older player and we did not play Villa in older seasons, but I can do process real quick. And then I'll also start streaming for the people who aren't in the server. And notice that actually we only have like 4 people in the server.
Scout, Pauling here. I've got work.
Play ball!
Okay, here we go. I got stream set up. I'm going to show the rollout for both pocket and flank on process now. More so than just what Rishi said, you walk, because that is not true. Getting positional advantage on process is especially important. Anyway, so for those who are in the server or watching, so I'm going to show flank first. So everyone already knows, obviously, this part. And then this is where it deviates. So I know that usually teams send both of their scouts through choke. However, I suggest that for process, flank goes through IT, and then either plays near health pack in case of a fast bomb from demo or soldier to try to take that away from your soldiers. Just because this is faster to health pack, obviously. Choke is better for general positioning because you get this. You get high ground easier. But this is better just for denying fast bombs, and also both scouts are going to come up here for the fight, and you're able to get early damage shots just taking, or if they don't see you, then you can usually hide behind this rock. So when scout jumps from this side, he actually can't see behind that rock until about this corner, but they usually don't notice. Someone who's played flank scout for several seasons, as long as you stay right here, they actually won't notice you. And then once you see demo and medic get to around here, then you're good to push, because then you're in no one's FOV. And then just wrapping around and taking the med. And that's what I suggest for flank scout. And then for pocket, as I just showed a second ago, you want to get up onto rock and then take high ground. Try to fight for as long as you can. On process, both soldiers and both scouts are obviously going to be trying to get high ground. So as a class that only has 125, you're going to die extremely quickly to 4 classes trying to push you off of, especially of this limited space. So usually playing around rock, just trying to keep high ground, especially if their roamer goes for a bomb, then you're in better position either deny him out of the air or at least just back up, get your med into choke, use the speed boost to allow him to get back here, and then fight with him in choke, which is not wholly ideal. Preferably you would deny him in the air because obviously playing against a class that's splash damage in this limited space is disadvantageous for you. It's still better than letting your med die. And then for the other points, what I usually do for flank is play sewer if you haven't pushed them back to last. For on second, I'll usually play sewer, just kind of peek out a little bit, make sure that they know I'm here, so that they'll send a player closer to watch. Usually either I usually get sent soldiers after me. Just what teams usually tell to go watch sewer is soldiers. They'll either play closer to here, waiting for me to peek out to spam rockets, or I'll actually get someone to come in which case, usually play a little bit further back from health pack rather than right on it. Because if you take a rocket while jumping and you get blown back, he has advantage for the health pack now. So instead, I'd play like around here. So if I take splash that knocks me back, I actually go onto the health pack, regaining everything from that splash damage. Other than that, though, there's not too much to talk about on process second. You just want to be able to watch. Just going into IT if your pocket or through choke, either or with your med, waiting for your soldiers and demos to push them back mostly. You can get high ground extremely fast, like most other points, obviously, because of Scout's movement, especially using Winger, and taking high ground advantage on soldiers who'd be pushing through here, and then you can just jump onto them immediately. Get a couple good damage shots in, and try to get the kill. If not, especially another thing I see Scouts do, is if they hit 100 damage shot, and they lose positioning, so if I was up there, and a soldier is starting to come in, or a scout's starting to come in, and I hit this first initial 100 damage shot, then most people, they immediately want to push in and lose any advantage they just had with the high ground, because they want that next meat shot, they want that kill, and that usually leads to death. If they don't hit that second shot, then you just lose player advantage, soldier gets healed, or gets arrowed, back to full health instantly. You've lost player advantage. So with Scout, don't try to get too greedy if you do big damage. Try to keep at a range that you can both still keep doing good 60, 80 damage shots, but also, if the soldier hits a rocket on you, then you want to be immediately able to fall back. Just backpedaling a little bit and you're completely out of his range, rather than pushing in. He has this entire space to fight you. And that goes the same for any map, any location. Being at a range with Scout that you can leave or get behind cover with your natural speed is far better than being right in someone's face, but allowing them to be able to fight you directly. And while that works for some Scouts, who's a good example? Like Clockwork. I'm sure a lot of people know Clockwork. He's known for his highly aggressive Scout gameplay, getting right into people's faces, hitting the 2 meat shots, getting damage in, getting kills, and getting out. That doesn't work for everyone, because not everyone has Clockwork's aim. That's where you want to make up for it with movement, rather than saying, how can I get better at aiming? How can I get to a point where I hit all my shots? Instead, focus on, how can I do as much damage as possible and give my team advantage by forcing a retreat, forcing the medic to have to work for heals and not give everyone buff, rather than, how many kills can I get? Because this goes for every class. Just being able to do damage and force the medic or force the players to retreat, force the medic to have to focus on 1 or 2 classes to keep buffed and the rest low and, playing passively, that does a lot. That gives your team ground, that gives your team health advantage, that you get heals advantage, that gives your team the ability to walk in and threaten pushing, and teams will just retreat because they know half our players are like 100 health. We can't do anything here, just because a scout and a soldier came in, did a little bit of damage, and then backed up so that they were still full health. Now we're low, we can't do anything about it, they're full again, and that does a lot more than you going in for kill and either getting the kill but dying because now you're behind enemy lines, you're in the firefight, or not, not getting the kill and losing player advantage. That's, obviously worst case scenario. So yeah, I know that might be something that's a little bit hard to do, but making sure that you maintain positional advantage and also trying to get damage and retreat, which I know in an FPS is weird. You want to get kills, you want to get frags, you want to get points. I understand that that's the basics that everyone's been taught in FPS, but for competitive and especially for a game like this, which is more about strategy than personal skill, um, at least that's what I think, because I've seen a lot of teams with technically worse players but better strategies win matches that they should have lost on paper, just because they have the ability to communicate and, you know, work as a team with better strategies. Any questions on that? Yeah, no problem, Corey. I mean, then last pushes is actually here. I'm gonna show you this real quick. Um, as flank scout, not as pocket. As pocket, this doesn't work as much, but as flank scout, playing right here. So telling your team, especially, and then again, this is about communication and teamwork. Telling your team to either play through rollout and try to get their attention, or play shutter, especially with the demo. Start spamming, acting like you're gonna Uber push, and then having your flank scout go this way and try to get up into secret. I know while this looks like a big open area, I promise you that if you communicate with your team and tell them to push in the opposite direction that you're going, they're going to be far too focused on fighting that push to ever notice a scout going into secret. And while you technically lose player advantage because now you're not fighting, um, when you're on last, there's usually equal Ubers and someone's waiting for someone to pop and push. Um, Being able to get into secret and then allowing your team to back up, get back onto second, and then going for force. That's best case scenario. Um, I do this a lot and I don't get caught just because I'm able to watch. There's a few pieces of cover here. First, from here, being able to see, okay, is anyone looking this way? No. Next piece, is anyone looking this way? No. Next piece, kind of like that. Um, and then communicating with your team. Okay, I'm in secret. Where'd you see Med? Go ahead and start backing up. You get Med's location. You drop down. Try to get the force. They now have to walk with that Uber all the way back to second, and by then they have like 3 seconds left. And then your team pops full Uber advantage. That's best case scenario for a flank scout. That doesn't always work. If they see you, don't try to go for it again because then they'll be watching for it. But if you can pull it off, it's a good flank scout strategy. So just wanted to cover that real quick. Alright, any other maps? I saw Villa. I don't know if I do I know Villa that well. Hold on, let me look it up while you guys type. No, the map Villa, not person. No, that's not a person Villa. Okay. Okay, no, I have not. I think I've played Villa twice, so I do not know that much about Villa, sadly. Snake Water, though. Alright, yeah, we can do Snake Water too. And then, does anyone here play Highlander Scout? Were there anything for Highlander Scout that was needed, or is this all just for sixes? Because I can also go over Highlander. Mostly just 6s. Okay. Okay. So then for Snake Water, again, everyone knows the beginning of this rollout. And then it only deviates right here, like on process. Pocket goes right here, stays with med. You want to play either right here, or if you want to get a little bit more aggressive, you can get up here, try to force back their soldier or scout that's going to be pushing up through here. You just don't want, the moment a soldier bombs you in this position, you want to immediately back up, because soldiers have extreme advantage, especially on top of Snake Water. You just want to be able to back up and play with your medic. And flank. For flank, I usually go up this route, and then try to aggress the demo. Just try to either force him to look at me for a second, because when the whole team's rolling out, you don't want to go for super aggressive, I'm just going to rush at demo picks unless you're certain, unless you like believe in your aim that much. If you do, you know, good on you. I hope you get it. But just being able to distract someone, just being able to see the demo pushing through and shoot him a couple times, even if it's just, you know, 20, 30 damage, he's then going to have to focus stickies on you, try to throw pipes at you, or tell his scouts, hey, go take care of that scout. In which case, you've just allowed your demo to get advantage. He has sticky set up while this demo doesn't. You also have player advantage now because they have scouts trying to chase you, while you can just back up and help take care of any soldier bombs, especially on Snake Water, where bombing for the med immediately is part of the meta. Roamer will almost always immediately go for the medic on this map. So being in a position where you can help your pockets, even as flank, is extremely useful. If you have really strong pockets, though, then you can always just go down through kitchen, try to wrap around. If they see you going this way, then just like how I showed on process, if you just wait a little bit right here, wait for a push. If they chase you, then you have advantage because you have health pack and you also have the first shot. But if they don't, if they see you but they don't chase, that means that they called the rotation, especially if you waited a few seconds, because then they expect a few seconds have passed. I haven't seen him. He's rotating. You can then, the medic will usually start playing closer to here because they're expecting a scout to come out of saw. And so then you can just peek back out and get the medic. Again, as part of the mind game. I know it might sound stupid, but I promise you that it does work. I've practiced all these many, many times. And players usually play the same way each time. Let's see here, and then let's probably go over a second. And then on second for so there's obviously two routes you can go. Either the combo is going to go through saw, in which case you're just gonna kind of want to be staying back with med, trying to protect from any pushes. But if you're given more room, if they're not spamming right from close up right here, trying to keep you guys back, then you're going to be playing both watching the window, watching for a bomb, helping your two flanks if you know they get into a fight, but also being able to stay in this area where you can jump back, help med, throw a couple shots, try to get, you know, 20, 30 damage just to help your flank win that fight. Especially since they don't have heals, so they are going to be at a disadvantage at any fight that they take if they're not with combo install, since you guys are so disconnected. But so being able to watch window, take stray shots, also being able to jump back, help med, and then once you guys actually start pushing, obviously there's a spot right, yeah. So stickies, usually somewhere around this wall, here, or they also have I've seen soldiers hide right here, kind of crouching this corner, and even at plat or invite level, I've seen clips of this working, and it's retarded. No one does it that much anymore, but always just check behind you just in case. Sticky trap or soldier. I've seen people get destroyed by a soldier hiding there. Entire teams. Yeah. So then, for defending this point, I would suggest, again with Winger, getting up onto this pipe with your soldier, just so that you're able to both watch Saw, watch Yard, get into window, and get behind them once they start pushing. So this is optimal positioning for Scout, because with your movement, you are able to watch everywhere, including just instantly retreat if you start to lose. So that covers literally every option. And then if you guys are playing farther back, if you're retreating, being able to just stay here, right here with your med, obviously, again, good. You get that speed boost from with your medic. He can start to retreat, and you can try to fight, protect him from ramp. And then on last, you have another good position that kind of does the same thing. It's not as good as second, but up here, watching main, watching under, and then if they push through here, you're able to get here within, just one jump, which helps a lot. Flanks, if they start to push into lobby, especially if they get out through here, being able to go from the left side and wrap around, even if you don't get the med. So here's another thing that flanks can do to force players to go back. If they push through and you guys are at equal advantage and you think your team can hold out, being able to just go back and start the back cap, so this is a risk. I don't want anyone to think that this is like meta should do this every time. This is a risk. But in the case of equal advantages, they've already popped, they're pushing, and your team has a strong defense and you believe that you aren't particularly needed since you can't do anything against an Uber, if you can go back and start the back cap, then if they start to run out of Uber and they see that we're not going to get this point right now, we need to go back. Because otherwise this scout is going to cap second while we're still fighting and not winning. He's going to cap mid. We're going to lose all advantage. So that wastes actually a few seconds of their Uber. Because now, if they're at, let's say they're 4 seconds of Uber time, they have only 3 seconds left. And they haven't won, they haven't killed all the players yet, and then they're going to see that capture's almost done, use the rest of our Uber to go back and start to fight the scout. In which case, you can either just annoy them, you can get back into window, and now you're on mid, and they can't chase you fast enough, and you can just pester them, keep kind of going back in and out, taking shots in med, annoying them until you either die, and you can come up as sniper if you didn't kill med, and then take the med, get Uber advantage, or try to find a place to retreat and get back to your team and regroup. If they're really hard pressuring you, and you know that you can't pester them and annoy them and distract them long enough for your team to push out, then just hard push, rush somebody, try to get the kill. If not, you die and you respawn, you're back with your team, you've regrouped, and you have equal player advantage again. That's your best bet is flank. While that's risky on last, you can also do that on mid. It doesn't work as well because the cap time is so slow. But if you guys have a really strong defense on any point on any map, and you think that you're not going to be much of help, and you believe in your team to defend, then flanking around, starting cap, you're at least going to force them to have to think, okay, can we win this for sure, guaranteed, or should we start backing up, even though we still have Uber? Because they want to stop, obviously, the backup. So any questions on the topics I've talked about on Snakewater? I'm going to assume not because no one is typing. Okay. And I think that should cover most of the scout basics. Covered a couple maps in their rollouts, the roles. Does anyone have any general questions before I switch over to soldier? Anything that I can answer that's specific? No? Okay. Okay, we'll switch over to soldier then. losing our scouts now. Damn. All right. Hope you guys were at least learned something from that. What was that? That was 40 minutes of scout. Yeah, that should be good. Okay, so we have the rest of the people are in here for soldier, right? Or do you guys? Is anyone here for pyro? I should ask. Is there a single person in here who's in here for pyro? Red's here. You're here for that spy gameplay? That's not till tomorrow. Spy gameplay is tomorrow. Okay, then yeah, we can. For Shell, we can do a little bit of pyro. I don't know if I'll do it in this class, especially since I just spent 40 minutes on scout. I won't have as much to say about soldier because I am not a soldier main. I play soldier only sometimes, and not as well as I play scout. Hello. Were you here for scout because we just finished scout?
Oh no, I'm just here for existing.
Okay, that's fine too. Okay, so now onto soldier basics. Now that I've covered most of what I can on scout in a limited amount of time. Anyway, so soldier, obviously 2 roles. You have, just like on scout, you have your pocket and you have roamer. Roamer is just the soldier equivalent of flank. Pockets, the rollout on every single map for pocket is essentially the same. You want to damage yourself, pull out the escape plan, and just run in the same direction as your pocket scout. If you don't know the rollout, that's a good way to think of it. Just escape plan, follow your scout. And then roamer, roamer's the one that you actually have to learn. You need to be able to do jumps. So if anyone's thinking about becoming a roamer, if you're not yet into competitive, or if you're looking to get into competitive and want to play soldier, then one thing you do want to learn how to do is roamer's rollouts. I play pocket the few times that I do play soldier because I'm not a high-level jumper. So I'm not the person to ask about for rollouts, but they are obviously all on YouTube. You can find them and start to practice them. Practice some jump maps. Just get your general jumping ability, a little bit higher than a pockets would be, because roamer's main concern is both the rollout and also being able to at any point jump the medic and go for the sack. Which, if you're also not in the competitive, sack means just suicide kamikaze for a class, demo, medic, whatever, just high priority classes. Sacrifice. Exactly. And so for the main loadouts for soldiers is, if you're playing roamer, rocket launcher of your choice, stock or original, gunboats and escape plan, or equalizer. I've seen a couple equalizers. And then for pocket, rocket launcher of your choice, shotgun, and escape plan. It's all pretty much the same basics, except for pockets just want to be able to dish out more damage at close range, because they're going to be protecting medic. They're going to be protecting against both the flank scout and the enemy roamer, which means that sometimes you might shoot 4 rockets just to take care of a soldier, and then you'll have a scout on you. You don't have time to reload. So being able to have 2 weapons, have it more ammo, more ability to switch between, that helps a lot. And then the roles in general, a little bit farther than just that, going more into the mind game. Roamer, being able to just be in a high position and threaten a bomb. Like if I'm sitting right here, kind of looking at this wall, they're expecting me to bomb. So they're gonna have their pocket scout, and especially if pocket scout is playing, a little bit closer to your combo, like if they're pushed up. So as I showed on the scout just a second ago, if you're up here and you're just taking shots down, waiting to back up, back to your med. If a roamer bombs, like how I told you just to back up instantly. So you've immediately forced Scout to back up. Doing this, Scout's going to be playing as close as possible. Pocket's going to be playing as close as possible. You're threatening, I'm going to go for your med. Even if you don't, you're threatening them, I could at any point. I could at any point jump and take your med. So what they're going to want to do is start to actually focus you a little bit. They're going to send the flank scout after you. They're going to play closer to the med. Even if you start to lose fight with flank, you can either just take a step back, get with your med, or you can actually go for the bomb, even if you have a little bit lower health, because you're going to be running gunboats, so it's not going to do as much damage, and just be able to at least take 100 onto the medic, and then let your flank scout do the rest. That's another great thing, is that the two flank classes can work together. If a soldier hits a 100 damage rocket, Scout being able to either pincer, as I was talking about earlier, he wraps around, pincers, clean up on that damage, or just push up with you and force them to get back due to the sheer amount of damage that you two can deal together. Especially since threatening to bomb is going to force classes to play closer together to protect medic. That means that any splash you do is going to hit at least 2 to 3 targets. Then that's going to help a lot. So that's the mind game of a roamer, being able to just threaten, I can take your medic at any point I want to, play closer to him, and then that gives you free extra splash damage. If you're not actually taking the bomb. If another thing you can do is start to back up, especially if you're taking damage. Tell your medic to arrow you as soon as you start to back up, so that as soon as you're within his range, he's already got it lined up, and then immediately go for the bomb, because they expect you to have low health. They just saw all that damage that you took. They just saw you back up, so they're not expecting you to come back at full health. And then for pockets, especially if you have a pocket scout who stays with medic really close, like if you have a pocket scout who just plays right here, really close to med, I was just saying a second ago, instead of all the way up here, because depends on the team. Some pockets like to play more passive, just still taking damage, still trying to get into the face, but also being right here for medic in the case of a bomb. So if you have a really passive scout like that, then you can play a little bit farther up rather than the scout. You two can switch between rounds. You can switch between what maps, just depending on what you're good at. But being able to take high ground with your roamer, having 2 soldiers raining down splash damage is extremely useful on every map. Only thing that leaves open is obviously your medic, because you are not as fast as the scout. The only way you can be is by damaging yourself. But with pocket having shotgun, obviously jumping back, using the wall to jump back to your med is going to do damage, meaning that you are going to instantly be going into the fight with flanks at a disadvantage. So just being able to either tell your scout, hey, stay closer to med, I'm going to take high ground, or tell your scout, hey, I want to stay closer to med this time, you take high ground. Being able to take that advantage is extremely useful. I would never suggest having 3 classes do this, because if you were to have, let's say, demo's always down here, demo's always with med, but if you were to say, just demo and med down here, flank got behind, your roamer's up here threatening the bomb, your pocket scout's up here just trying to take damage, getting ready to back up. If you also get up here, and demo's focusing on sticky bombs, focusing on the demo fight, this immediately opens up, even if you do technically have positional advantage, because you have 3 people on high ground, you have the better advantage with spam. In all technicality, now they can just take one player, either their flank who got behind you, or is playing a little bit closer, getting ready to attack the med, or the roamer to just immediately bomb over you or under you and get onto your medic. The demo man, if he's not able to switch to pipes or throw sticky at his feet fast enough, then you just lost your med, and you're all sitting up here now without any heals, and classes can start pushing, because now they have health advantage. And you're stuck in a fight, close combat, even if you do technically have positional advantage, and you will almost always lose before you can escape, because now you have to walk all the way back without heals. Because if you take any damage from rocket jumping, then any stray scout shot will kill you. So always having either demo and pocket scout or pocket soldier next to med is preferable to getting high ground positional advantage, even if technically, on paper, that should be advantage. Any questions about that? Okay, going to assume not. Okay, let's see here. What else can I talk about on soldier as a not soldier main? Let's see here. Oh yeah, as I was talking about earlier, with scouts also for soldiers, being up on here on Snakewater specifically is really good because you have spam potential up here without actually being able to get anywhere close to them. You're being able to get spam into Saw, 100 damage rockets. You're also able from here spam. I'm not confident in my ability. Hit. Yeah, no, I can't do that. But you can get into window if you're good at jumping, unlike me. But also, as roamer, being able to do shit, just get onto the med, and force either a pop, because if they're gonna be coming, if you lose the mid fight and it's equal Uber advantage, just being able to sacrifice yourself for that force, especially on maps like this, where you have, a whole little obstacle course to get around, you need to come up from yard, either go upstairs, go up ramp, and then get 3-point back up the ramp to fight against the medic, especially if med's playing passive. If you just, go after medic, get a force, then they have to waste a full 5-6 seconds of their Uber just chasing down to try to get a force themselves. If they send the roamer after your med, right after you get a force, then just telling the pockets, they're going for a sack as well, play together, then they can get the med to play even farther back, they can take care of any sacrifices, and then you guys can push in with full Uber advantage and win back any points that you lost. Same thing can be said for aggressing. Even if you win the mid, but it's equal Uber advantage, they got out. As long as you can go in, take any class to give you advantage, especially med, especially going for forces, is roamer's main job. But also taking the demo man, especially on a map like this where sticky traps are immensely prevalent. They can be hiding right here. And the moment you try to go check them, this is still within splash radius. You can still die from that. So being able to take a demo man, they can now walk through without having to check every single goddamn corner and go, okay, med, now it's okay to come through, and waste a whole 4 seconds just on the push because you had to check for sticky traps. So demo is also a good one, especially on maps with a lot of tight corners like this. Med is obviously getting the force is the most important, but any power class that can do more damage than you can, so demo and pocket soldier, are also both immensely powerful picks. Also, if your pocket goes down or if you kill their pocket, usually the roamer will switch over to pocket soldier, because then you've just lost the key piece protecting the medic, and you can either go back and you can either have your flank scout, or you can go back and act as a pocket for a little bit, because losing that pocket soldier means that now anyone that they want to throw in has one less person to deal with. If all their classes maintain their roles, if flank scout was playing away from team, if you were also playing away from team, getting really close, trying to just do damage, threatening a bomb, and the only person playing with your med was the pocket scout and demo, then that means that anyone that comes in now only has to worry about those two classes, rather than that what they would usually have to worry about, pocket scout, pocket soldier, and demo, which guarantees a kill, 3 against 1. For sure, I can kill any class that comes at me in just, second. They can't do anything to the med. But with only those two classes, there is a possibility that they can hit those 2 shots and kill the med. So instead, you would either want to tell your flank scout to go back, protect med, or you would want to go back, protect med, and just prevent them from that easier sacrifice. And then I do actually not know all the rollouts, so I don't know if I can go over map rollouts, but is there any map strategy that you would want to see? Anyone wants to see any specific maps? I can go over strategy. any general strategy can apply to all maps. I mean, what I just kind of went over, your general roles, those are good strategies. Just being able to, what I was saying about, taking high ground, um, being able to threaten bombs as roamer, or just being able to take, for pocket, as I was saying earlier, you kind of want to play farther back, but still take a higher ground advantage, especially on snake water. This is a great example. Roamer is going to be going all the way up here. Pocket, maybe playing a little bit farther down here. You both still get positional advantage because you're on higher ground. You get easier spam, but you can come back and protect your med far easier than the roamer could. So for soldier, high ground, just being able to do splash damage, um, being able to either threaten a bomb or actually bomb as the roamer to take high damage targets, high priority targets. As pocket, just always staying close to your med, making sure that you are in a position to where you're not as far as a scout, because a scout can get back faster, but you're in a position where you are both playing forward to capitalize on high damage as a soldier, but also if anyone were to get onto your med, you could just easily turn around and deal with that problem. Those are, the basic play styles. Also having both soldiers play together is another valid strategy. If you were to have, let's say demo and scouts were to go the flank route, and then the med and both soldiers, then you could flash roamer, have him bomb in with those additional couple seconds of fading Uber, so that he can ignore any initial shot against him and instantly get onto the med or demo, and then come in with Uber as pocket and clean up. Then that's another good strategy. Preferably, you would have in that case you do demo flank and then roamer pocket scout pocket soldier. That'd be even better actually than having both scouts and demo. Yeah, that's another good strategy for pushes. I think that covers like general strategy. There's map strategy where specifically having your roamer go this position, or specifically having your pocket play in this position. Those are also just up to teams, depending on how they play. There is a meta for each map, obviously, but being able to play away from the meta also helps. This is a topic that doesn't get covered a lot because this game's so old, the competitive scene's so old, that everyone and their mother thinks that the strategies that we have now, the metas that we have now, are the best of the best, and you can't deviate from that. That's kind of hurtful thinking. Especially when Frigotech was more prevalent, and they would post strategies that for people to follow. Every single team would then follow their strategies and not deviate from it in the slightest, because Frogotech was the best team. They were winning, so obviously they had to be doing something right. So following those strategies to a T, that's kind of what made TF2 a little bit boring. That's kind of where you saw a lot more stalemates, and that's where it started to die out around season 15, because everyone just kept doing the same strategy over and over. So also being able to communicate with your team and come up with your own strategies is extremely important, because teams are going to know the meta. Both teams know what they should be doing, what technically is the best, most optimized route for play. But being able to just deviate a little bit, nothing too wild, nothing that's like high risk, high reward, unless you really believe in it and just want to go for it a couple times. But being able to communicate with your team and say, so do something a little bit different. Let's go for something that they aren't exactly looking for. That would help a lot, because competitive has become so repetitive that no one really sees unique plays or unique strategies anymore. Which I'm actually going to be talking about tomorrow. That strategies for popular maps. That's going over a lot of old strategies that me and my hit teams had come up with years ago, that you don't see anymore because they were ours. They weren't part of the meta. So that beginner to advanced, you guys should really come for that, especially if you were in competitive right now. as an amateur or intermediate or anything, and you don't have like a not I mean not a book, but if you don't have a team playbook kind of where you guys know, these are the strategies that work for us. These are our own unique things that we can do. If you guys don't have that for your team, if you're playing competitive right now, then attending that and at least learning how to develop strategies around your player strengths, that's going to be extremely helpful to you. So yeah, so any other questions about Soldier? It's only a 20-minute Soldier demonstration. My bad. I'm not a Soldier main. MG, I mean MG is all right for practice. MG, I would say only do for your aim. And, if you want to get mechanically better at the game, because there's not a lot of situations where you're just going to be fighting one-on-one against a player on on a limited space. MG is great for technical practice, but not for actual in-game, you know, in-match practice. I would say doing pugs would be a lot better for that, or scrims with your team. Just being able to actually develop around what you guys are all good at. I guess I can cover it for a second. Like, let's say that, what's a good example? Let's say that your demo is slow. You have a slow demo. He doesn't know the rollouts all that well. He's great at damage. He's great once he gets the point, but he fucks up his jumps from time to time. And let's say that your scouts, your flank scouts, your pocket scout, superb, both amazing at their jobs. And then your two soldiers, yeah, they're all right. They play exactly to the meta though. If we have a team comp like that, then as I showed with Scout on Gollywatch a second ago, doing fast Scout rollouts to get to their demo, then that forces their demo to focus on Scout for a second. He backs up, allows his demo to get to point. So now before their enemy demo man has set up any stickies, this demo is now here. And now it's technically equal. And the Scout, because he's good at his job, he's able to just get that distraction and get out. Then that would be a playbook that's unique to you guys. Not every team sends their Scout immediately after demo through a fast rollout. That's not part of the meta. But for teams where they know each other's strengths and weaknesses, that's what they should be doing. The two soldiers should be playing. One soldier should be playing here. One soldier should be playing up here, making sure that their scout can get out. They're doing damage. They're forcing their team to kind of play passively because they have good positional advantage. And then allowing your demo man to get the point. That's a strategy to make up for weakness. That's unique to that hypothetical team. So stuff like that is really useful to come up with, because not every team needs to be playing exactly to the meta to the T. Anyway, so any other questions about Soldier? If not, then I think I will start probably the demo man demonstration here in a little bit. I'll ping them for that. No? Okay. Oh, no, here we have people typing now. We covered off-classing. I mean, not as much. No, I'm covering just the roles of scouts and soldiers. I'm going to be doing off-classing and strategy in the strategy talk. Because off-classing is more about, team strategy rather than how do I play this class. Yep, see, there you go. That's all you need to do. Just look up rollouts. Okay, well, if there's no questions, then I think, since we only have one person here for Pyro, um, I will just teach Shelzer Pyro another time for Highlander Pyro, instead of wasting everyone's time here on how to play Highlander Pyro. So Shell, just contact me when you are free and want to do some Pyro lessons, and we can do that. I'm gonna take a quick 30-minute break, and then I will start the defense analysis for Demo Man, Heavy, and Engineer. I'm guessing everyone's only going to show up for Demo Man, so if you want to learn some Demo Man strategies, then show up for that. I'll be back in about 30 minutes. Hopefully you guys learned something. You know, send me a message if there's anything else you want to know, or if you just want to say thank you. I would appreciate it. I don't get thanked in real life. I don't have friends. So I see you guys all in 30 minutes.